Right, welcome back. So let's quickly look at this question from another past exam paper. So it is question 4 and it says the following functions are given. F of x, which is equal to x minus 2, and g of x, which is 4 over x minus 2. Now we're asking you to sketch the graphs of f and x on the same axis, clearly showing all intercepts as well as the asymptotes. Alright, so let's start with f of x first. So the first thing you need to know is what type of graph are you busy with? Alright, so the type of graph I am busy with is a straight line. Okay, how do I know I'm busy with a straight line? Well, the fact that there is only a normal x, no exponents, no fancy fractions, it's just a normal x. Right, then my second point is my m value or my a value. So my m is equal to 1, meaning that this will be an increasing function. Then the third thing I look at is my asymptotes. Now obviously a straight line doesn't have any asymptotes, so it is not applicable. Then we move on to the fourth point. So that is my x-intercept, and to get my x-intercept I have to make my y equal to 0. So it will be 0 equals to x minus 2. Then I'm going to take over my minus 2, it becomes positive 2. So x is equal to 2, meaning my x-intercept will be the point 2, 0. And then the last thing I have here is a y-intercept. So my y-intercept will be where x is equal to 0. So I have y equals to 0 minus 2. So y is equal to minus 2. So this will be the point 0 minus 2. Alright, you can always use your calculator to draw yourself a table to make it more accurate. However, the information at the moment you have is more than sufficient to draw your graph. Alright, now let's quickly have a look at g of x. So g of x is equal to 4 over x minus 2. Alright, so let's start. What type of graph is this? Well, the fact that my x is in my denominator, it's underneath my fraction, means that this is a hyperbola. Alright, second thing, my a value is 4, meaning that my graph will be drawn in my first quadrant as well as my third quadrant. Third thing is my asymptotes. So remember, a hyperbola has two asymptotes. So for grade 10, your one will always be x equal to 0. And my other one will be y equals to my q value. And my q value is minus 2. Alright, now we're moving on. So I want to get the x-intercept. So my x-intercept is where y is equal to 0. So it will be 0 equals to 4 over x minus 2. So the first thing we're taking over is my minus 2, which becomes positive 2, and 4 over x. Now obviously we want to take over our x and multiply it, and take over our 2 to divide it. So we can just switch them around, giving me x is equal to 4 over 2. So x is equal to 2. Meaning that my x-intercept will be the point 2, 0. Alright, then your last thing you want to work out is your y-intercept. Alright, so my y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. But remember, we said my x asymptote is also x equal to 0. Meaning that x can actually not be equal to 0, so there will be no y-intercept. Okay, once again you can go draw a graph, or not a graph, a table, to get more accurate points. However, the information we have at the moment is sufficient. Alright, now let's draw this graph. Shoot. Okay, please remember to draw your lines with a ruler. Alright, so there's my x-axis and my y-axis. Alright, so I always start with my asymptotes. So my asymptote was where x is equal to 0, so that will be on this line. and then it is also where y is equal to -2. So let's say that is about here. Alright, so my one is x equal to 0, my other one is y minus 2. Alright, then I have an x-intercept at 2, 0. So let's quickly put that point in. So 2, 0 will be about here. Now obviously if you go and you get more points, you will be able to have a more clear understanding of how your drawing should look. However, from what I have is I know my one part of my hyperbola has to go there, and the other one has to be in my third quadrant, meaning it has to go somewhere here. Alright, so I'm just going to highlight it in yellow so that we don't get confused. So then this will be my g of x graph. Alright, now let's quickly draw f of x. So f of x is quite simple. We have an x-intercept at 2, 0. Alright, so at the same place where we had an intercept here. And then I also have a y-intercept at 0, -2, which is there, meaning my straight line will look something like this. Alright, once again, obviously if you draw on scale and you have a table, it will be more accurate. Alright, but there is my f of x. Alright, so they said in the question, it is 6 marks. Alright, so where will you get marks? You will firstly get marks for your asymptotes. You will get marks for knowing that is your x-intercept, knowing that is your y-intercept, knowing this is also the x-intercept of your other graph, and then your last 2 marks will be for the shape. So did you draw the straight line correctly? And then did you draw the hyperbola correctly in the correct quadrants? And is the shape correct? Alright, so there you have it. So that is question 4, completed, full marks.